Hello, everybody. We're back again. We've just refreshed ourselves with as much beer as you can drink in 20 minutes. That's right. My girlfriend's gone to Sydney on an evening plane. Once she sees those city lights, she won't be back again. And from the airport lounge, I can see the town skyline, see the hills in the distance, and it feels like doing time, 'cause I'm back home in Adelaide. Yes, I'm back home again. My sister's gone to Brisbane, her husband's gone to Perth. I get a postcard of London from a friend at work. All the kids have gone to Melbourne to kickstart their careers, 'cause a part-time job in Kmart is all we can offer here, while I'm back home in Adelaide. Yes, I'm back home again. At 6:15 every morning, two jets fly overhead. They're bound for the eastern states and they get me out of bed. The sound of people leaving is the sound that starts my day, and it always starts me thinking it could be me again someday. But I'm sitting in the sunshine in my big backyard, eating peaches from my fruit trees, and leaving just seems too hard. While I'm back home in Adelaide. Yes, I'm back home again. Oh, I'm back home in Adelaide. Yes, I'm back home again. Oh, thanks very much. Now, while we're on the songs about Adelaide, we have to. Yeah, and we have to, in the instance of balance, after doing Kensington Road on one side of the city, we have to go down to Grand Junction Road on the other side. It runs alongside the city, past all the things they don't want you to see, and then goes to all the places that you don't want to be. It's the home of the high-vis shirt and the clapped-out Commodore. Those smokes hanging out the window and one eye out for the law. There's no prestigious location, no desirable postcode. There's nothing up and coming on Grand Junction Road. Morrison Road. They do their best to keep it clean, well stocked and in straight rows, but in the car park there's a deal going down between young men so far gone they are barely human, and on the corner there's a girl so stoned she can hardly stand, when just a mile or two down the road she could be kicking her heels off in the sand. There's bottle shops selling to the always pissed, street girls servicing the never kissed, late night pokies for the barely missed, truckloads of crap for the Wingfield tip. It's the place you go to make a living, that's not the place you want to live in. You won't find nothing to ease your load driving down Grand Junction Road. Grand Junction Road. My father worked in a factory there, just down from the prison. Sometimes 6 days a week, but more often 7. And I wonder what he thought about all those years he drove, first thing every morning down Grand Junction Road. Grand Junction Road. Grand Junction Road. Grand Junction Road. Well, I saw an old friend in a fancy car. She went driving by. She was more than a friend in days gone by. I looked down at my shoes and I wondered why. Then I heard an old song come on the radio I had not heard for years. Was an old, old song I had not heard for years. Well, it took me back, could not hide my tears. So don't look back, don't look back. You might hang your head and cry if you look back. Well, the road is long, the road is long, stretches way on ahead. It's a long, long road, stretching way on ahead. Gives you too much time to think about those things you say. So don't look back, don't look back. You might hang your head and cry if you look back. Now, here's a childhood memory. Got to have a beer first. This has got the most words I've ever squeezed into 2.5 minutes. It's called The Rat Plague of 1966. Well, the rats were big as rabbits in 1966. They came in from the paddock and they chewed Mum's garden to bits. I thought maybe I could catch one and make something with its fur. Then we went to town and saw the film Ben-Hur. So I built a small chariot with the wheels for my sister's pram. All the uncles started laughing when I told them about my plan. They said, "Good luck, boy, we hope you succeed. How many rats to pull that thing you think you're gonna need?" Well, I could get away with 4, but I really wanted 6. I was gonna rope them all together and teach them to do tricks. We'd roll around the neighborhood at fantastic speed. Those rats would pull me faster than any racing steed. Old Pop come down from Broken Hill and helped me build a trap. We built a pretty big one because I wanted the biggest rats. He said, "Don't let the dog out, boy. He'll eat all the bait. And you'll have to be patient and wait and wait and wait and wait and wait. And wait. And wait." Well, I waited and I waited, buried in the grass. I started to get worried about the rats chewing at my ass. I could hear all the other kids playing in the street. But the only time I left my post is when I had to eat. Well, my holidays were ending and the cousins came down to stay. I got a bit distracted, then the rats just went away. I was enrolled in Morris Brothers starting in a week, so I went back to catching yabbies and playing cricket in the street. Then Dad put the wheels back on my sister's pram, and one of the uncles went off to some place called Vietnam. None of that worried me, because I had the best plan of all. We were gonna hike all the way to Morialta. Then we were gonna find the mythical Third Falls. Decimal currency, 1966. Ron the Tank Kneebone Spaghetti Medal, 1966. The Rat Plague of 1966. Thanks very much. Now, way back, when I've talked about it a little bit when went to live in Melbourne and living in St Kilda, and I love football. You know, I was always going to footy, and so just up the road you'd go up, and then you go to the Punt Road Oval. Was it the Punt Road? No, it's the Junction Oval. Sorry, yeah, the Junction Oval, and that was just up the road. And even though it was in St Kilda, it was on just off Fitzroy Street. And Fitzroy was the football club that used to play at the Junction Oval, Fitzroy Football Club. And because they got moved out of Brunswick and all that. Anyway, I used to go there at 3/4 time and get in for nothing for a while. And then I became a real Fitzroy fan. You know, I really enjoyed going to see all the local ovals there, you know, Princess Park and Moorabbin and places like that. So I was pretty lucky to get around at that time before it all became commercialised and played at the MCG and commercial stadia. But anyway, and then Fitzroy was shafted by the AFL, that had just become the AFL, to get rid of them. So I remember actually they were playing a trial match, pre-season trial match at the Junction Oval, and I went, and you could go out at 3/4 time and listen to what the coach was telling the players. And I went out, you know, with a bunch of people. We went out and had a listen to what the coach Robert Wells was saying. And there was a bloke there playing for them called Billy Loken, who actually played for North Adelaide, and he'd just gone over to play for Fitzroy. And as we went out at 3 o'clock, at three-quarter time, the coach was laying down the law, telling the rules and that, and Billy Lakin looks up and he says, "Hey, Don Morrison, you're from the Brodgies, yeah!" Like that. And Robert Wall says, Billy, pay attention." So that was my most famous moment of fame. So anyway, it's a long story, but Fitzroy don't exist anymore. So. We were down too long, it's true. So sink the boots into the maroon and blue. Throw some dirt onto the grave. Give the Roys a final wave. We can look back over 100 years and we can count 1,000,000 tears. But I can't believe our time is through. Fitzroy, I'm calling you. And when the end came, it was awful and slow. They propped up the corpse and put it on show. They made it parade in front of fools and heathens. They made a farce out of that final season. Then they took it back to the morgue and tore it apart, looking for the secret of that mighty heart. But the heart was broken, never to beat again. Betrayed and tormented until the very end. Then they sold off the Guernsey and sold off the name. Money men let loose on the people's game, as if money could buy courage and pride, as if money could fill up an emptiness inside. And sometime in the future, when we've lost our way, we've sold our culture and got nothing to say, when a club's just some fat boy's marketing tool, we'll all realise that we're being fooled, and we'll look around for something to fill the hole. We'll remember the spirit of the Roys of old. We'll send out the call for the maroon and blue. Fitzroy, we're calling you. Butch Gale can never die. Bernie Quinlan never ceased to fly. Kevin Murray with all his might, fly the flag and fight the fight. The ghost of Bunton and Brunswick Street, flashing hands and dancing feet. Mickey Conlon come crashing through. All roos that still love you, stand back 'cause we're marching through. Make way for the maroon and blue. The mighty Roys are back in town. Fitzroy, where's glory bound? Thanks very much. Then we'll do another newish one, I reckon. Is this the best time? Is this the worst time? Is it half time? Or maybe a good time? Is it half time? Or maybe it's full time? I just don't know. I just don't know. Is this a good day? Is this a sad day? Maybe a holy day? Or is it my birthday? Is it payday? Or is it doomsday? I just don't know. I just don't know. what's going on. No, I just don't know what's going on. Is this a freeway? Is it a highway? Maybe a roadway? Or just a pathway? Is it a doorway? Or maybe a hallway? I just don't know. I just don't know. They're all up there talking like they're experts, and they've been told just exactly what to say, while we're down here being trickled down on. We're just making it through day to day. We're just getting by day by day. I just don't know. I just don't know. I just don't know. I just don't know.
A song about not knowing there.
Yeah, I went in this songwriting competition called Scala, and you have to get up and you could do one song. I was going to do that song, and the announcer said, "Now, what's the name of your song, Don?" And I said, "Oh, I just don't know." What do you mean you don't know? So, anyway.
What key do we do this in now?
5 minutes.
I misread the set list.
Now, way back in the old days when, bands could play seven nights a week, I was in a band that was doing it, the Bodgies. I remember hearing a interview with the manager of the Angels, and he said, "Oh yeah, in 1981 we did 285 gigs for the year, you know." So I thought, wow, I still had the records of this book, accounts and everything. So I went back for what the band I was in was called the Sensational Bodgies, and looked up how many gigs we did in 1981, and we did 298. So we did more gigs than the Angels and Men at Work and Monday Rock and all those bands that were around at the time. Except nobody had ever heard of us because we didn't have anything on the radio. But we would do stuff like we'd set off from here after playing 3 or 4 gigs, and then do 6 or 7 nights a week for 2 weeks in Melbourne. Then go to Sydney, do 6 or 7 nights a week there, like finish at the Mansell Room at 4 in the morning, the Mansell Room in King's Cross, and hop in the car and drive back down to Melbourne for a gig the next day. So we went around, and a lot of that stuff I've written about in my book, This Could Be Big, 40 Years at the Dag End of the Australian Music Industry, which just so happens I have a few copies for sale here. And sometimes they ask me, to sum it up in a few words, so I just say 5 men in a car. Sanos on this giant highway. 5 men in a car. Go by, they're just names, refueling stops on our road to fame. We've been here before, maybe. Now I'm not sure, but it looks the same as the place before. Comes on outside Nundrew. If we break down out here, not sure what we'll do. Well, look to Zoo near Gundagai, could be Horsham or Hay, Lismore or Yass or Narrabri. Roadhouse food. Roadhouse blues. 5 men in a car. 5 men in a car. All right, we'll keep the car theme going, I reckon.
What key do we do this one in?
We're going to do it in the original key. I've worked out how to do it after practice.
Ah.
So we practiced it in a different key.
That's E minor, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the original.
Yep, that's the original. Beautiful. I'm a genius with chords, that's right. Okay, way back, I needed a station wagon, you know, like, and I only had a budget of $150. So I saw this, a 1972 Volvo 145 advertised. And so I went and test drove it, and it barely went, but I bought it. And actually, as I was driving it out of the driveway, there was an elderly couple that owned it, and the lady sort of burst into tears. And it turned out that the car had quite a story to it. They bought it in England on a trip to Europe, and they drove it all the way back through Europe, Asia, down to Australia. And then they had a farm, and all their kids learnt to drive in it and everything. So it was a big part of the family. But anyway, I got it, and I had to do a lot of work on it, change the doors. And the first guitar I ever made was out of the door metal from a Volvo that was all rusted on the bottom. And I soon found out that the Volvo metal was too thick and strong for me making a guitar out of. You couldn't lift it. So what am I doing then? Oh, yeah. Anyway, having an old car, brings its own adventures. My car was 32 years old. My car was 32 years old, and I had enough spares to keep it on the road for another 15 years or so. But outside forces are telling me that car has got to go. They want to take my car off the road just because my car is old. But imagine this scene if you might. A crowded supermarket car park on a Thursday night. Some car crashes into my fender. I say, don't worry, man, you can't bend her. And we don't exchange names or numbers. And as he leaves, that man thanks God for my Swedish steel bumper. I was waiting for the lights to turn green when I was rammed from behind by a gleaming new machine. That car was totally crushed, but it didn't even manage to knock the scale off my rust. Now I will go to jail if I have to, but I ain't never gonna drive as I had to. They say it's all about pollution, but I know the real solution. They want to put me into debt, so I have to go and buy a 16-valve plastic jet. It's all about economic control, and not because my car is old. I hear a screech, then I feel a bang. My car goes up on its side, and it don't come back down again. Some fellas helped me push it back over, and when the dust settled, I drove her home again. But that was the end. My car was 32 years old, and I had enough spares to keep it on the road for another 20 years or so. But there comes a day when you have to say that car has got to go. They want to take my car off the road, but not because my car was old. That's right. Now we're going to get Eddie to sing this song. He wrote this, one of the first songs you wrote, was it, Eddie?
That's right.
About the same car.
That's right. It's the only Volvo station wagon with 2 songs written about it.
That's right, in the whole world.
Just wait for Jake to fix his tuning there. It's very unprofessional, Jake.
Look at me, man.
Well, Eddie, we're playing, at a pub in suburban Adelaide.
That's right.
It's not like it's, entertainment centre.
The entertainment centre wishes it was the Wheat Youth Hotel on this
they keep ringing
beautiful
us up.
Sunday evening.
They do. The entertainment centre keeps ringing us up saying, we want you to play, this gig. There's a Beatles reunion on. We want you to open. And we say, no, forget it. Anyway,
No.
Sorry, I'm just going off.
Yeah, shouldn't air our business dealings, Dad.
You ready? You can't pay me enough, mate.
my way. It was just past midnight when demons have their sway. I heard a real strange rumbling noise that chilled me to the bone. I checked my rearview mirror and I was not alone. Coming up beside me, headlights glaring like the sun, was a car the likes of which you've never seen. The exhaust pipe shot flames and the engine it roared with the noise of 1,000 screams. El Volvo Diablo, the demon car, made with Swedish precision, the most powerful by far. Volvo Diablo, the tank of doom. The devil's car is coming after you. Cha-cha-cha! The paint job was black with flames, exhaust was thick and grey, and all around the roaring of hellhounds at bay. As that car grew close to me, I could clearly see that demons do not choose their cars for the luxury. That car put up beside me, the window rolled right down. The demon inside looked at me and laughed. This is no place for you, mortal. Now be upon your way. And with that, he ran me with his car. El Volvo Diablo, the demon car, made with Swedish precision, the most powerful by far. Volvo Diablo, the tank of doom. The devil's car with plenty of legroom. Cha-cha-cha! Well, I escaped that car just in the nick of time, for as I walked away, I heard an explosion just behind. I turned to look back at my car, now a flaming pile of joy. I saw the demon standing laughing by the truck. El Volvo Diablo, the demon car, made with Swedish precision, most powerful by far. Volvo Diablo, the tank of doom. The devil's car is coming. Devil's car is coming. Devil's car is coming. Devil's car is coming after you. Cha-cha-cha! Thank you. Of course, nowadays, I wouldn't rhyme junk with trunk anymore. It's too American. I would find an Australian equivalent.
Boot with
Loot. Scoot.
Yeah.
Snoot.
We're gonna
Shoot.
and after the gig, we're gonna run a songwriting course, ladies and gentlemen.
That's right. It's all about finding words that rhyme with boot.
Lyric writing seminar. Anyway, we'll go from the ridiculous to the sublime now. When I was, I used to go, as I mentioned before, I used to go to Morris Brothers, and I remember about third year, I went home and I said to my old man, I am not going back there. I don't care. I'll work in a factory or whatever, but I'm never going back to that place. So instead of catching 2 buses for an hour and a half every morning and an evening, I walked out of my front door and went up to Nord High in 3 minutes, you know. And the other thing that was good about going to Nord High School was that there was girls in the class. I couldn't believe it, you know, like, even though I had 3 sisters, these were like proper girls, you know. And after a little while, you know, my first girlfriend was called Hillary, and very innocent affair. We held hands and had a kiss a few times. I remember going to the Catacomb clubs, the Catacomb Club there in Hackney, the folk club. First live gig I ever saw, and we kissed each other gently and were threatened with getting thrown out for
28 years old you were.
Yeah. Anyway, it didn't last very long, and that was the end. So many years later, like as you do, I thought, I wonder what happened to Hillary. So I Googled, you know, and there's quite a bit of gear about Hillary there. She was now a professor of mathematics at a leading Australian National University, and she was famous for coming up with a theory about that only, you know, a dozen or so people in the world could actually really understand. And I knew she knew all about that stuff because I explained it to her in leaving at Nord High. Yeah. But the sad part about the story was it was an obituary. She died some years before, and the obituary said that she had 2 children. So this song is called Note to Hillary's Kids. I don't even know your names, but I know you're out there somewhere, so I'll write this just the same. I trust this finds you well, I hope life's treating you okay. I know this comes out of the blue, but there's something I'd like to say. I just found out your mother died quite a while ago. Nobody told me, there's no reason I should know. But you see, I knew your mother in my last year at school. She was in the brainy class and I was a sporting fool. She took a shine to me, I've got no idea why. She was the first girl I ever kissed and the last to make me cry. I called her mine and didn't last very long. She let me down gently, said it was time to move along. Well, I never went back to school, and then she moved away. I heard her name mentioned now and then, till I found out yesterday. You know, I still have a letter that your mother wrote to me, and it takes me back to that summer and love mysteries. I'd like to let you know, but I don't know where to start, that a little piece of Hillary lives on in my heart. Hey, let's do Hound Dog. One of my favourite artists growing up when I first got into music, Hound Dog Taylor. I remember seeing him at the Apollo Stadium. 3-piece. He had 6 fingers, actually. He used to play slide, and he had 6 fingers on this hand. So he used to confuse all the people that were trying to copy him. But anyway, it's really good. So he played electric guitar with his band, and this one's called Hound Dog Unplugged. So we figure this is how he would sound if he was had an acoustic guitar like the Don Moe Resonator that I've got here. Thanks very much. Hey, I just got an email this morning, actually, coincidentally, about the next song. It was from Toronto in Canada. And I didn't get an email. It was a message on YouTube. We got a clip up for this song, which is called My Boss is an Idiot. And this bloke from Toronto in Canada says, we play this all the time at work because my boss doesn't understand English. So let's hope he doesn't go to any English classes in Canada there.
Or if he learns to speak English from your songs.
Yeah, that's right. I just write a letter to him saying, oh, that's Australian and it means my boss is great. That's right. My boss is an idiot. His boss is too. He'll do anything they tell him to. 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. The hardest part about my job is to put up with that creep. My boss is an idiot. 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 He doesn't care about me. He doesn't care about you. The only thing he cares about is when his promotion comes through. He struts around the floor, thinks he's very clever. That man is a genius. Said no one ever. My boss is an idiot. 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 One of these days I'm gonna tell him to. One of these days I'm gonna tell him to. One of these days I'm gonna tell him to. One of these days I'm gonna tell him to. My boss is an idiot. Oh, we don't do that, no. All right, thanks very much for coming along tonight. We haven't done a gig for quite a while, so it's great to see all these faces here. It's been great fun. Thanks for the Wheat Sheaf for having us. Don't forget to get another beer before you drive home. Sorry, I didn't say that. And
If you're buzzed, you'll drive more mellow, you know.
yeah, that's right. We should do mellow songs towards the end. And don't forget, if you need a CD or a book, come and see me and we'll do some sort of deal. That's right. But anyway, this next song, the last song, got to have a beer before I do it. Look at that perfect timing. I judged the length of the sets by the beer. And I remember the first time I went back to Melbourne for years after a long time. Pints there are like proper pints. And so the bar manager said, "You're going over time, Don." I said, "I haven't finished my pint yet." Anyway, okay, so I'm a young man and I've been working at building sites for most of the time and foundries and things, and they were really good paying jobs in those days. And so I didn't drink much. I just had a motorbike, no car, didn't smoke, saved up quite a bit of money. And the older sister of a girlfriend of mine at the time said, "Don, you should go to Europe and do the backpacker thing." So I just turned 20 and I got on a plane and landed in London with no plan except to buy a motorbike and drive from all around England and Europe down through Asia, come back to Australia on this motorbike, you know, and I didn't realise that was a bit unrealistic. But and how cold it was in Europe in February, you know. Didn't know what. My mum said it's cold over there and made me a thick knitted jumper. And I bought this motorbike and I said to the bloke at the cheap sales yard that I got it from, is this registered and insured or do I have to pay? And he said, no, we don't have that stuff over here. So I drove all over Europe in this unregistered, uninsured motorbike. And going down this, I got a bit sick of it after a while, you know, too cold, you know, too lonely. I'm going down this autobahn towards Hanover in Germany and the bike sticks in first gear. And I probably could have fixed it, but I'm going on this, you know, the cars and the trucks going past it at 160 kilometres an hour, you know. And I'm on the side of the road and every time a truck went past it would blow my helmet and tools down the road. So I got back on the bike, rode in first gear to a youth hostel in Hanover, and I saw the bloke there said, oh, I'll give you 50 drachmas for it. All right. So I sold him there, and then I went. I thought I'll become a backpacker, you know, go on buses and trains and that, and meet people. And I went down to the local Snaps bar with my 50 drachmas, and was going to have a few beers. And I was the youngest fella. Like, it was full of old farts, even older than we all are here, you know. And I went, oh, beer, you know, uno biro or whatever they say there. And then I went to try and pay for it with some of my drachmas, and they said, no, that's Greek money. Anyway, so an old bloke took pity on me and bought me a beer, and I always remembered that feeling of sitting in the back of the Snaps bar in Hanover, Germany, without a motorcycle or hardly any money. And when I became a world famous songwriter, I wrote this song called Pat Malone. I was traveling in a foreign town when a stranger flagged me down. I was lost and far from home when I first met Pat Malone. After a while we went our separate ways, and for many years he disappeared, never leaving a trace. Then in a crowded bar, I was drinking alone. He said, remember me, I'm Pat Malone. He brings no comfort, he brings no cheer. That's the way it is when he's here. But when the nights are long, there's nothing else to do but drink with Pat Malone. I've known him now for many years. We have shared 1,000 beers, but I could not call him a friend. He's just someone I see now and then. He brings no comfort, he brings no cheer. That's just the way it is when he's here. But when the nights are long, there's nothing else to do but drink with Pat Malone.
when he's here.
When the nights are long,
There's nothing else to do but drink.
with Pat Malone. Oh, when the nights are long,
There's nothing else to do but drink.
with Pat Malone. Thanks very much. I hope to see you again pretty soon. Oh, thanks very much. Should introduce the band. Now that our drummer Andy has gone, doing his business there. Jake Morrison on the guitar. Eddie Morrison on the bass. And I'm not sure where.
Andy, oh Andy.
Andy Prisgonski. There we go. Okay, we've got a request for this song. It wasn't on the list, but we'll do it because it's one of my favourite songs too, called Collecting Albie. It's about, if you haven't never been to the Hillbilly Hoot on a Monday night in Lind Reserve in Stepney, you should get along there. It starts at 8, finishes at 9 every Monday night. Live music in the park. It goes live to air. Anyway, way back when we first started, there is a bloke called Albie used to come along and collect all our empty bottles. And he was an old fella, and used to see him all around the place, collecting bottles at the Nord Oval and everything. So, wrote this song called Collecting Albie. Walks like a man with things to do. He carries an old shopping bag. It's red, white and blue. Albie collects up bottles and aluminium cans, then sells them down the depot for whatever he can. Collecting Albie, collecting Albie. Bum, bum, bum. I've seen him in the park. I've seen him up on Main Street collecting after dark. And every Monday evening he comes over late at night to collect up all the bottles we leave out by the light. Collecting Albie, collecting Albie. Ba, ba, ba. Ba, 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 ba. Should I go home to bed or drink another beer? Albie needs the bottle, so I guess the answer's clear. Collecting Albie, collecting Albie. Well, may your bag be full of empties and your eagle eyes stay true. May the handles on your shopping bag never fail on you. May you collect up all the empties in the southern hemisphere.